Hey gang, welcome back to another video. Now about a year ago I upgraded my prop display case to look like it belonged in the Star Wars universe, but over time I realized that I wasn't taking advantage of the bottom two storage spaces. So in this video I'm going to remedy that problem by creating two custom storage crates to help give it a bit more function and to finish the look. So let's get to it. The first thing I needed to do was to design the faces for these storage crates. There's a cargo container design from the movies that immediately came to mind when I started this project. So I used that as my inspiration and started designing the face in Illustrator. When I had it looking the way I wanted, I saved it as an SVG file which could then be imported into the easel software so that I could route the design on my Xcarve. And after setting the type and depth of the cuts, it was time to load up some MDF, clamp down the material, and get to carving. While the crate faces were being carved, I modeled up the back of the boxes and was able to get the Xcarve working on those as soon as the faces were complete. With the carving out of the way, it's time to start painting up the faces. I gave them a light sanding with some 220 grit paper, and then it was time for primer. Once the primer had completely dried, I wanted to give it a light sanding, but I'll be using some 000 steel wool, which will just knock down any small textures and really help smooth out the primed surface before my base layer of paint. And for that, I'll be using a medium gray spray paint. This color is the same color as the shelving unit, but it won't be the final color for these storage bins. For that, I'll be using some orange spray paint, but before I do, I'm going to apply some liquid latex masking to help give the crates a chipped paint look. I'm using a stir stick with the rounded end cut into a point, but you can use a variety of objects for this application. This was just what I had on hand. When I'm done applying the masking, I'll set the panels out in the sun to dry and can get started on assembling the back portion of the box. I also gave these a light sanding and then applied some wood glue to the interlocking finger joints and set them in place. The finger joints make for a better box since there's a lot more gluing surface. I'll use some 1-2-3 blocks to make sure that the walls are square, and then I can set it aside to dry and get back to painting the box fronts. Now that the masking is dried, I can lay down my top color. I'm going with this bright orange just to make them stand out against the gray of the display case. And after a bit more waiting, the top coat of paint is dry and I can start removing the masking. Now this part is really satisfying since you get a really organic look that would be a lot more challenging to do by hand. Plus, it's kind of fun to peel it all away. With all the masking removed, the last thing these crates needed were some decals and a bit of weathering. So I added these designs and then grabbed some brown acrylic wax paint and got to dirtying them up, making sure to get all the faces and edges of the panels before wiping it away with a rag. This is one of those steps that there's no right or wrong way to go about it. You may need to add more or remove more to get the desired outcome, but it's completely up to you. The weathering pass really helped to tie it all together, since the paint gets caught in the edges of the chipped paint and decals to make them look like they've been knocked around on a Rebel base for a few years. Have they seen some action? You bet they have. The last step for this build is the final assembly of the crates. For this, I'm applying a bit more wood glue and some downward pressure, which should keep the crate faces firmly attached, although I may add in some brackets in the future. Wood glue makes for a surprisingly strong bond. And with that, these storage crates are done. Now, who says you can't have both form and function? I'm pretty sure this checks off both of those boxes. And speaking of boxes, if you'd like to get a set for yourself, I'll be offering them soon in my Etsy shop, so be sure to check that out. I'd like to give a special thanks to the video sponsor Inventables for sending me the X-Carve, and if you'd like to learn more about that, be sure to check the link in the video description. Well, that's going to do it for this one. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, but most importantly, go make something.